Welcome to the Media Copilot. I'm John Biggs. Today on the show, we have an interesting thing. This is a product launch by a pair of folks who've been working on this for, I suppose it's been the past 40 years, it seems like, guys. Welcome, Max Salamonowicz and Casey McBeath. Welcome from
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah. So
thanks for having us on.
Yeah, so this has been a very interesting product to watch grow. You guys talked about this about a year ago to me, and now you're essentially ready to launch. Why don't you describe how this thing works and what it is?
Max, do you want me to take this, or do you want to?
Yeah, you'll explain it way better because I'm too techy for this kind of stuff.
So, I mean, what we've been working on for a long time is just, constantly kind of trying to push like where we can have AI help us in what we've been doing. A lot of that comes down to like, okay, we have a lot of content that we want to generate. We have a lot of characters that we want to push, stories we want to tell. So just constantly trying to find ways to make that happen.
And this is for video games. This is for fiction. This is for any number of things, right?
I've gotten to the point where I just say it's for creatives because I see that there's a use case not only for game developers who we're kind of like focusing on right now, but I mean, it also works for people just doing narrative writing, people who are just simple storytellers, film and television. So it kind of works everywhere. But in truth, we were just trying to find more and better ways to help tell, wider and broader stories and kind of keep consistent characters. I was showing Max some early AI stuff. He just exploded with enthusiasm, really got carried away. And then we just started working towards like, okay, well, what can we do to, make characters that, are interactable? Like we can, start doing more interesting stuff with having a character that you can talk to and it's the same person over and over again. And then it just kind of grew into this thing like Max just kind of kept coming up with more and more things that we could do, more ways that we could build stories with it. And so Brainwave now is a collection of all those kind of individual tools into one unique kind of platform cohesiveness. And it's a great place for people to go in and just start building, is it, going to be a AAA game? Is it going to be an indie dev game? Is it going to be, a short story or a novel? This is just like a great place for people to go in and start. I always go back to this quote by Bill Watterson, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes. In one of the forwards of his many books, he wrote, the reason that he has such believable characters is he just tries to put himself in their shoes all the time. And that's, it's a difficult thing. But when you have a character who already is that person, you could just put them in situations and start interacting with them and they're just believable. Yeah, playing with it. Like all of a sudden your creativity explodes because no longer are you trying to think like, okay, like how is this character supposed to be? And like, what would they do in this situation? You just have built this character to be who they are. And then you can just start interacting with it. Of course you can, creatively edit from there and try to like pick and choose what you like, but just taking that burden of a 100% creation off your shoulders and allowing somebody to just be like, oh, well, what if I throw this at them? Oh, and that gives me another idea. Like I've always felt like a creative person, but when I start to use this tool, all of a sudden, like I'm like, oh, geez, what do I do? All of a sudden, like 5 ideas, all of a sudden come right after one another. So it's been a beautiful way to just kind of sit down and you don't fear that blank page. Like all of a sudden, like a million things come to you at once. So it's been really fun. It's been really liberating. And that's a weird way of describing what Brainwave is.
Okay. So this isn't for like making My Dinner with Andre. This is for like making, I don't know, a new Tolkien adventure kind of thing. So you have a little elf and he like wanders around and you could talk to him like you would a normal person, right?
It really could be anything. I think Max has done a great job of incorporating a lot of like really amazing tech into it. So like if you are a designer of any sort of world and you've got, list of pages of notes of like what's happening in this world, vocabulary, anything like that. It could be, a hard sci-fi dystopian future. It could be, a fantasy thing. It could be an old Western. Yeah, man.
At the same time, what's super important is that usually people are thinking about those characters, but those are living in certain worlds. They've got their own feelings, they've got their own memories, and that's a huge issue with typical systems like LLMs, ChatGPT, which is amazing. I love it. But it's for practically everything, so it's good for nothing specific in this particular case. So we were trying to incorporate using different LLMs to make it happen, but it was That wasn't working for us because we were aiming at higher quality, and we were asking ourselves what is making those characters come to life in books and cinema industry, in good game dev, which is telling interesting stories in a particular way. So the way to make it happen was to get rid of typical LLM and to build our own AI, like the ground up build model, which has emotions, so to say. That was a crazy bet in our case.
Okay, well, why don't you walk us through the app? I think we're able to show how it works, right?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I can pull something together, and you'll have to forgive me. I've got my computer jacked up here, so typing's going to be a little goofy. So anyway, so here's the app. The platform as we speak right now is something that you can go and build, dozens or more different stories on. Over here in the tab of universes, we have different, let's call them games that we're working on. You can go through and choose and, edit those however you like. So you've got the base foundational information for what this world is and what it's supposed to be. Currently, right now, we're working in Beyond Humanity Fertile Grounds. If I go over to personas here, we've got a list of characters that we've already put together. And this is, again, just how you continue to build and populate your universe. So these are all different characters that you can come through. You can have a chat with them. You can, select the location. What's that?
Show the meat how we are building those characters. That's
let's go back into it. So over in personas, let's go over and we can edit Alex Harper. So again, just simple stuff, name, description. It could be as lengthy or short as you like. There's some general parameters that just, set up their intelligence, what they do, what they want. And then we've added in a list of personality traits. And again, this is something where if you need to generate, a bunch of NPCs, you can go through and have the system automate that for you. Or you can go in and select, your hero characters and build them exactly the way you want. Let's go back into our personas. And then other systems that are really important for this are obviously locations, because your story is going to take place somewhere. So you can build up these locations.
Which have their own smell, looks, and everything for all of those AIs that we are populating this world with, because they see those locations, which is kind of unique. The model is the AI model that we've built is multimodal, so it may look at certain stuff.
So Alex Harper is standing inside of the hangar. He sees X, Y, and Z, and will comment on that environment, right?
Exactly.
He will be feeling it, so he may comment it, but it will be affecting how is he going to play his own role. So the kind of creepy thing inside of the software is that all of those AIs, they do not know that they are AIs. They are just kind of actors that are being directed by us, and we are affecting how they are playing their roles, how the discussion is going. We may discuss like on a chat GPT with an AI, but the beauty comes out of a scenes module that Casey is showing up right now. So you may become a director of a scene, and those characters will be living their lives. So they will look at each other. They will be reacting to each other. They will be building relationships. And this is kind of scary in my humble opinion, because I was building it, but they are kind of alive.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's like a really beautiful system. We've got some more tools that are coming to the platform pretty soon to kind of help build and expand. But I mean, scenes are another great way for, if you have an idea of what's coming up in your story, you can start putting it together. Like you can, like in here, we can see, I left this kind of on auto when I was working on it yesterday. So a lot of these responses are kind of on the long side. So you might have seen me coming in here and just dropping.
So wait, so the Sheriff Paul here is, who wrote that?
That was from the system. So the only thing up here that I put in was just the director's intent. Like I, was just putting in, there's a excess amount of horse droppings in the middle of town. And then Sheriff Paul's looking into it like an investigation.
He says there's a parade that we didn't know about. So he basically made a joke.
Yeah. You reckon we got ourselves a parade last night we didn't know about?
They are great in joking, and they're also great in dying, so to say. And I'm kind of surprised how well they are dying in an epic way, whenever you need to make a story around this, yeah?
Well, I mean, one of the things to remember is, as that is one of our parameters down here, is their sense of humor. So Sheriff's not the funniest person, but he has a agnostic sense of humor at times.
Antagonistic, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Look at me without my glasses.
So you basically tell them, okay, they just saw some horse poop and they're going to talk about the horse poop. So you could basically put this inside of technically you could put this inside a comic book or something like that, but it would work best if these were just generated. So if a character, if the player drops like a sword, then all the players around them all the NPCs around them would notice the sword and start talking about it in that way, right?
Yeah. So here, let me go back to the scenes real quick.
That's one of the questions that we are getting often right now from our testers, because those are early days. We are mainly focusing on gathering as much as possible of constructive feedback to make it better. But at the same time, game dev is asking us if it's possible to have this kind of a tool, this kind of a opportunity that the software creating into a living game. So, like, let's say in MMO, you would be able to interact with different NPCs on the fly, on the go, like real time. It's kind of possible right now with the stack, but the issue is the cost of running the server side for it is kind of killing the whole idea. But yeah, we are getting there. This is super close.
I mean, as a professional writer, some of this stuff's a little bit cheesy, but I mean, it wouldn't be out of place in like I don't know, Chrono Trigger or something like that. Like, well, I mean, the voice of reason amongst our merriment, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the thing is we're always going to try to continue focusing on quality, and that's a really subjective thing. But
yeah, 100%.
Again, I always tell people, because there's this kind of like feeling about AI when you talk to creatives. Some are very enthusiastic and they want to see it and they see how it can help them, and some are kind of stuck in those early GPT-2 days where they're like, it's garbage, you can never use it. And I'm really sort of somewhere in between. Like, I'm very excited about what it can do. I'm very excited about speeding up productivity workflow. But the thing that I always tell people is like, really try to imagine this is your rough draft. Like, this is just for ideation and creation. Like, if you're not going back through and editing this stuff and like making it fit what you want and what you're going to use it for, then you're doing yourself a major disservice.
This is augmentation. It ain't something that will take jobs and will ruin the game dev industry by just creating lots of different, same-looking games all over the place on the Steam platform or something like that. No. This is like a Word 2.0. That's my favorite saying. This is something that is going to help you in creating dialogues, characters, places, objects, interactions, and so on. Because it's meant to be used by a human being. So eventually, in the end, you are going to grade the effect. And if you are creating a world which is, let's say, like over here, that's a Wild West for children, it will be slightly different in terms of subjects and how those personas are going to say certain things than the Fertile Grounds, which is hard sci-fi for adult, it's going to be way different in many different ways.
Yeah, I'm not talking
just about swearing words.
Yeah, what does this look like? So, York Harper report. So
this one I actually haven't seen before.
I suppose that it was totally automatically generated.
Huh. So basically, it's like in the situation, something happens, and then all the characters can react. And
so there's an event trigger up here, some sort of explosion, and then York's telling everybody to mask up and get to emergency containment. Marcus Kell, he's telling everybody to get out. This is great. Again, it started. I think the thing that's what it comes down to. It's trying to direct your AI team of assistant writers to help you start building up things. And it's by having characters in there. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think the more interesting thing here is that you can instead of being on a rail, instead of like going from place to place and having like preset dialogue, if the player blows up a tank and breaks a valve, then you can have instant reaction to that, and the story can change with that as well, which is interesting. But I'm not sure how I'm not sure what happens as that story changes. How do you make sure the story gets better?
John, to answer this question, we need to wait for around 2 weeks because we are going to have. We are using our fundamental model for this particular project. Brainwave is based on AImmersive, the name of our model, which isn't super original because that's the company name in our case. But the thing is that the same model may be used in different scenarios. So right now we are working on a super top secret project. So we'll send you additional access to this one as well. But this is directly affecting this kind of subject and problem in gaming. So you've got a situation which is unusual, like not scripted, and you need to react to the situation in a certain way. And AI may help you out, keeping it on a certain level of quality, and this will still make sense in the storyline and everything which is happening around the situation. So dialogues, how is it affecting other things around it, and so on and so on. But this is like a huge experiment. We aren't sure if our model is going to keep up with our ambition, but we are experimenting. That's the very best way to play with AIs.
So, I mean, what would you, but we already discussed this a little bit. What would you say to the writer who's just like, oh, well, you're destroying my job?
I mean, again, that's something that I definitely get a lot whenever I first talk to people. And it's, you have to find that polite way of saying you're wrong. Like, eventually, don't get me wrong. I believe that within X amount of time, every job goes away. I'm a cinematographer by trade. Being in AI as much as I am, I see the writing on the wall. I think in 7 to 9 years, the choice of whether do we actually film this commercial or do we just generate it is going to be on the same level as like, okay, do we shoot this digitally or do we shoot this on film is today. Like it's going to be a very small percent of those smaller jobs that are actually filmed. And that's fine. Like I know that's coming. It'll happen. But, right now, when it comes to writers, there's nobody who's going to say that whatever is generated by AI is always going to be better than what a human can do. Yeah. And so this is truly just an augmentation. And it's the first time I think that the creative story creation process has been able to be affected in such a big way. So it is weird. Like I think those that are working in different art forms, like painters, like when the photography, like when the camera came around, nobody was just like, oh my God, paintings are away. I'm sure there were, but it didn't. Like people still paint. Like it's always going to be a thing. But this is the first time that writing has been able to have that big technological upgrade where you have something that is truly helping you creating lots of stuff. But it is always going to come back to okay, well, is this progressing the story? Is this developing the characters? Is this, advancing the narrative? That's all stuff that is going to need a human writer to kind of sit back, look at everything and edit it. So it's, it's not destroying their jobs yet. It's not taking away their jobs yet. Will it happen? I don't see a future where it doesn't. But right now, this is just part of the tool set.
I don't think that we are going to be responsible for it because we are trying to be close as possible to users, so to say. And they are saying I hate this kind of a thing in whenever I need to build additional NPCs for a small village. That isn't something that I want to focus on, to create bugs for a game. Because I hate it. I want to build those epic scenes. I want to work on main characters. I want to work on the plot, on the quest and everything, which is super cool to work on. Yeah. At the same time, this other stuff still needs to be done. So this is going to be a tool which is going to help you out getting rid of dull stuff, boring stuff that you don't want to make, and help you out in everything else. And being angry at typing machine makes no sense. Everybody started using first typing machine, afterwards word processors on first PCs, and right now Word and Grammarly and everything else that is just boosting our productivity. And we are trying to help out also with this tabula rasa problem. So you've got white page in front of you. It's 8 a.m. and you need to start writing. And oh my God, I've got no freaking idea how to make it happen. Yeah. So this will help you out. This will push you towards creativity. That's our bet in this case.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
I have actually talked to a few writers where I mentioned the same sort of thing, and they're like, well, I like working on Barks. I think it's the time to add humor and fun. It's like, okay, well, yeah, sure, you can do that. But, if you can have a system where you can give it some parameters that gives you 1,000 options, like not only are you still using your creative control to, select which ones you like, but every single thing that a person gets is just more information to allow them to like spin off creatively. Like, oh, that's almost funny, but what if I did this? Or, oh, that almost sounds like somebody would say, but what if I do this? And it's just like, it really is just kind of like a force multiplier for creativity. Like,
it's like having an intern, right?
Really, truly. A good intern.
Also, looking at an Excel sheet on which you've got 950 characters with dialogues, that's Witcher 3 case. And like 950, that's overwhelming. Like literally, I suppose that you would like to focus on important quests, important places, things that are interesting for a creative guy, not on a random guy in the middle of nowhere that just says like, go away. Yeah. Those things you want to send towards juniors, and we love juniors as well. So maybe this could be a tool that may do this easier, funnier way. Just make it, useful.
All right. Well, very cool. So how can people try this out? Is it ready to test?
Oh my God,
we're currently doing beta testing. I think we're trying to do a slightly slower rollout. We might put together a sign-up sheet or wait list, because I think, Max, tell me if I'm wrong, I think it's probably better to have, a manageable number of people adding feedback at the start until we can kind of get through like the bulk of like the main concerns, complaints, improvements, ideas.
Less on the most feedback, more on the subject. That's super important for us. So that's currently kind of invitation only kind of testing, and also it's super server side intense. So that's really difficult to scale. So it won't be something like mainstream that everybody will be capable of using it, because we are running our own fundamental models on servers, and those are like super big. Like each session that whenever you are using Brainwave, it's being powered by 2.4 kilowatts of GPUs. 8 GPUs are running it.
Okay. So people should just keep watching your website. It's brain-wave.ai.
No, better AImmersive.ai.
Okay.
And just send us an email, set up a call. We'll show you around and welcome on board, testing our beauty.
All right. Very cool.
I think we do need to launch that waitlist page though.
Yeah. Let's put a waitlist up just because I think people are going to be really excited about this. All right. So there you have it, folks. Apparently we're able to now talk to robotic dudes in wheelchairs in deep space from the comfort of our own living rooms. So Max, Casey, thanks for joining us. This has been a really cool demo.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
All right. See you, John.
This has been Media Copilot. I'm John Biggs. We will see you next week.